Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by First Desponder. Was denied 2 days of pay time off, so I took off a whole month. When I worked corrections, I requested 2 weeks off. I had been there for years and accrued plenty of paid leave. It was given to me as I had done so months in advance for a personal event. The 2 weeks went by way too quickly. I had specifically lined up my 2-week break to lead into my 2 days off at the beginning of the break and at the end so I could maximize my time off. However, during my normal days off, a family emergency came up that was quite serious, so I asked for another 2 days off to handle my situation. I was told by my direct supervisor that there was no way she was approving that because we were only allowed to use 84 hours of leave in one continuous block. Given our rotating written schedules and 12-hour shifts, this equaled 2 weeks. And she ordered me to come in the next day, or I would receive a write-up. I didn't argue because I knew she was correct. So I showed up that night and reported for my shift, and much to my surprise, my captain had called out sick, so a relief captain came in to fill her shift. I asked him to give me the next day off after my shift was over. He and I had a rapport given the number of years we worked together with each other previously, so he looked at my schedule and my leave. He said, "You know you've got plenty of leave, right?" "Yes, I know. I just need some of it to handle my business tomorrow." "No, I mean you've got plenty of leave to take, and the roster is filled for the next 2 weeks." "Yeah, I just got off a 2-week vacation." I stopped because he winked at me, and it finally clicked. We can only take up to 2 weeks off consecutively. Nothing says we can't take off 2 weeks, come in for, say, an hour, then go home and take off another 2 weeks. So I did, and he signed the paperwork stating, "It's not my shift. F that B word." I handled my emergency literally the next day. It turned out not to be as serious as we first thought, and then enjoyed another paid 2 weeks off from work. It was great. To add to the bliss, I reported back from work to find that this captain was fired and replaced for some kind of negligence or something. It was a great month. If you have accrued all this time, it means you have been a long-standing and great employee. It's like a reward for working there over time. So why do they have rules in place where you can't take off for X amount of time? In the first place, you earned it. You should be able to take it whenever you want, whenever you feel like it. Especially if you give them plenty of notice, they should make plans. If they want to keep you, that's what they have to do. Down in the comments by Underbelly, Jesus, only in America is using your earned, owed vacation time considered malicious compliance. Truer words have never been spoken. Our next story is by Siski TV. Approval for everything? Okay. So I'm in IT, and where I work, my team is awesome. We are usually allowed to our own devices about everything related to the network and equipment related to keeping everything running. Our manager usually just wanted reasons for everything, and if it made sense, it was cleared same day. Anyways, the present day, around the beginning of the year, our higher manager decided they're going to keep a tighter leash on spending and such. So they looked to the IT department because we do at times need $6,000+ of hardware for replacements, normal wear and tear over the year, and we recently did a $75,000 network rebuild because of corporate decisions. But we've kept to the assigned budget. In order to keep IT under their thumb, they've switched to requiring submitting approvals before submitting the official purchase order. So, the malicious compliance. The notice said essentially if IT needs to order it, we want to approve it first. So everything gets an approval form. IT needs $75 for more Post-its? Approval form. Critical stuff for an immediate response? Approval form. Basically, it's gotten to the point where something that usually took us 1 to 2 weeks for delivery takes 4 to 5 for the same thing, which has caused strains on everything we usually work on. Parts that need replaced are still on order, so stations and computers are offline until replacements are approved. It's satisfying watching the management scramble to mass approve things once it's brought up as impacting the site's work. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. They were staying within budget and they were making the place work. Why do you have to change everything? Penny pinchers come in, something always breaks down. Don't mess with the IT guys. Our next post is by Elbonian Prince. I bet there are lots of posts like this up here. Retail employment. A great place to be when biding your time ahead of starting university as a mature student, especially when a manager is a posterior. Onto the shop floor at 8:50. Manager tells me I am late. I check time. It is 8:50 by my watch and the clock shop on the floor. I say so. He tells me that we go by his watch and I am 10 minutes late. His watch is over 10 minutes ahead. Sorry, sir. I'm already thinking ahead to the end of my shift. Long day. I am due to finish at 8. At 7:50, I am on the only live till and I take it out of service and start cashing up. There was no customer at the time. Manager sees me and queries why. Time to close the store, shut tills and cash up. Check your watch. He almost explodes before he realizes I have zero interest or need to maintain employment with his store, as I am due to start university next week. I turned up the next day, sought him out before starting work, and did a time check to see what times I was going to adhere to that day. Needless to say, he used the store time rather than his wrist. He knew. He knew he wasn't going to get away with it, is what he knew. Our last post today is by Red Martley. You really want me to log time by the ticket? I'm sure all of you reading this have to log their work time in one way or another, and I'm sure most of you don't agree with the granularity of said logging. So I work in IT. Many years ago, I was involved in a big project of creating a new platform while maintaining the old one. So during the week, I would spend some time on support tickets. My role was more high level. I would never be the one to actually work on a ticket. At one point in time, there was a new support coordinator assigned to the client account. The number of tickets was rising and the team couldn't keep up, threatening the new platform. The coordinator needed metrics on the team's performance, so he generated reports from the ticketing and the time logging systems, combined them, and started looking into improvements. Until he came across my logs. The metrics told him I spend about 2 hours a week and edit a varying amount of tickets. This looks weird and he couldn't bill the client on tickets I worked on, so he asked me what was going on. I explained that I would look over the list of open tickets, bulk update where needed, and log my time with a remark like, classified tickets. Then I would move on to my other duties. He didn't like that and told me to enter a time log for each separate ticket I worked on. I asked him what the minimum time was that he wanted me to log, which turned out to be 15 minutes. Fast forward a few weeks of me spending an hour a day logging hours and logging that task too, and creating virtual overtime of about an hour a day. Then the coordinator comes up to me with a request to go through and update the full backlog. I'm fine with that and tell him I'm logging that as a generic task and not per ticket. He tells me no, it must be logged per ticket. So finally, the malicious compliance. I spend about 2 hours to go over the backlog and make sure everything is in order. Then I spend the rest of the day entering everything into the time logging system. Fun fact, I was the first to reach the system's limits, but found a workaround to log everything. That day, as logged in the time tracking software, I worked for more than 16 hours. The rest of the week I took it easy, came in late, went home early. I was done for the week and every hour I worked extra would be unpaid, right? When it came time for the invoicing, the coordinator could not justify the huge amount of hours I logged on the account. My rate was twice that of a tech support. And finally, he allowed me to stop logging by the ticket. My productivity went up again, as did my mood. I did flag the potential problems and a drop in productivity to the CTO and CEO, who I reported to directly, but they said to comply anyway. We did laugh about it afterwards and learned a lesson in how to not waste time. You know, I said it at the end of the other post, I'll say it here too. Never mess with the IT guys. IT staff are usually pretty smart, and they'll find a way around your BS. So never mess with IT. They'll find a way to mess back 1,000-fold, usually. Our stories for today have come to a close until we meet again. Have an interesting day.